Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining. I really appreciate your interest in this subject. My name's John Jennings, and I'll be the tour guide as we talk about Oregon's statewide planning program and furthermore, how that's relevant to the Eastern Oregon solar siting possibilities work. So one of the things we want to emphasize here is that we've been doing land use planning in Oregon for a long time. It goes well back into the last century. And as we know it today, really started in 1973, so or 50 years ago. So planning in Oregon has a structure that's based on state law. At the top is state statutes, which of course are passed by the Oregon legislature. Below that would be the Oregon statewide planning goals, which have been promulgated by the Land Conservation Development Commission. Oregon administrative rules are used to interpret and apply both state statutes as well as the statewide planning goals. We'll talk more about that. And then local planning programs. And that's where the rubber really hits the road. That is where the decisions get made. That is where all of these elements come together. So the point of this slide is just to reiterate that the order of operations here, the legislature who adopts state statutes, the Land Conservation Development, or LCDC, who adopt the statewide planning goals and administrative rules that interpret and implement statutes and rules, and then the local planning commissions and elected officials that actually carry out and make the local decisions in land use applications. So what is LCDC? The LCDC stands for Land Conservation Development Commission. It's a state commission. It's made up of 7 members representing different parts of Oregon that are appointed by the governor, confirmed by the Senate, and they really act like a planning commission, like a state planning commission. They serve the Oregon legislature, just as a local planning commission would work under a local county court or board of commissioners, and they're staffed by the Department of Land Conservation Development. That's the agency I work for. Much in the same way that a local planning department would staff their local planning commission. So they really, again, I like to think of them as a state planning commission. So here's a listing of the statewide planning goals. You can see there's a bunch of them, and you do not need to memorize them, but they do constitute and serve as the underpinnings of the program. They were adopted by LCDC, going back to 1974, 75. And I think all of them were adopted before the 80s. And some will prove more relevant in this conversation than others, particularly goals 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we'll really talk next about getting into the administrative rules that help interpret and administer these goals. So here's administrative rule stuff. LCDC's chapter in Oregon Administrative Rules is 660, so 660. And there are about 40 divisions, I think, within that chapter for various goals and other items. These 4 probably will be discussed in some level of detail, maybe more will be as well. Division 4 has to do with an exceptions process, which the commission LCDC dealt with in November when we were in Medford, Oregon. We may see fit to explore that a little further or not. Division 6 has to do with forest lands. We have seen a growing interest in siting utility scale photovoltaic generation facilities on forest lands. We thought that was fitting. Skipping down, Division 33 has to do with our farming and ranch lands, agricultural lands, where so far a good amount, probably the majority of the amount of interest in renewable energy generally has been placed. And then Division 23 is our Goal 5 rule. I've highlighted that because that includes a particular section about energy sources, and that's where we're going to spend most of our time. That's really what we're going to ask the Rules Advisory Committee to do, is help us revise Division 23 to come up with a fair and reasonable, solid program that's voluntary for counties to get into, which hopefully help identify areas of high opportunity for siting solar projects, as well as avoiding conflicts to the best that we can. So here's just another little graphic to kind of depict what we talked about earlier. And I can't really see it very well with this recording feature on. Um, but at the bottom, the smallest circle, I believe, is Oregon revised statute, right? State statute, and then flowing from there are the statewide planning goals, and the next step being administrative rules, and then those rules informing and guiding local programs. So local government considers and decides on land use proceedings in their jurisdiction. So thank you guys for hanging in there through this little presentation. I hope it's helpful. I know that most of you don't need it, that you know this stuff really well. Um, but I think we could all stand a little bit of a refresher. I know it certainly is helpful for me. And we're really looking forward to this work. And we're hoping that you'll come to it with an open mind and a creative spirit and a sense of humor. Um, we want to have some fun, but we're going to learn a lot. And I think we're really going to get some positive work done. And we're going to be probably sharing out some of these little tutorials um, semi regularly to help us get positioned to hit the ground running when we're in Christmas Valley next month. So again, thank you for all your time, and thank you for your willingness and interest in helping us out.